But in reading Bobby Kennedy's new book, The Wuhan Cover Up, uh, it is increasingly clear that there is something about the clandestine services that has taken over entities that we do not think of in those terms. And,
Hmm.
what their purpose is, I can't say, but it does appear that it is necessary that the public not know what's going on. And therefore, it is not simply important that they have propaganda outlets. What they need is for there to be no exception. There's no place you can go to figure out even the basic facts. And that's a very alarming state to live in.
It is. I guess, if you look at the facts that they have used their clandestine services, their mechanisms to overthrow, I believe, 80 governments in their history. And they have now set up sort of calling people terrorists and, labeling things so they can legally go after people within this country. It gets a little bit scary. And again, exactly why they're doing this. I wonder if you have a theory about that. I mean, is there something we shouldn't know? Is there such a thing as that?
Well, I mean, the problem is we don't even really. I think that we look at a map and we think we understand what those things that we call nations are, and that they predict something about who is on our team and who is not. And increasingly, I think that's more of a distraction than an insight, that something is partnering across national boundaries. Why, for example, were we participating collaboratively in bioweapons research with the Chinese in Wuhan? That's a strange thing for us to have been doing if us
Yes.
is the United States and we have concerns about an antagonistic government in the form of the CCP. Why would we have been partnering with them on such sensitive investigations? Clearly, there is some behind the scenes partnership. I don't know if it's the CCP and the Biden administration or something that has its tentacles in both places. But what is where we started and what has become clear to me is that there are many ways in which an asymmetry of information is simply advantageous to those who wish to wield power over us, to those who wish to transfer our wealth to them. And so, we speak almost as if it is assumed that nobody would be playing that game, as if we are all on board with the idea that enlightenment is a good thing. And you certainly wouldn't know it to look at our universities, for example. Our universities look more like dark age institutions that distribute some kind of superstitious nonsense and disguise it as if it were information. You wouldn't know it from looking at our newspapers, which ignore the most obvious stories. Frankly, they ignore it until it's become so painful, so embarrassing not to report them that they have no choice. But what kind of world are we living in if the public arrives at these things as a matter of common knowledge before the New York Times or the Washington Post is even on the story?